Hey Heavy Airsofters, welcome back to Dreadonyx Heavy Airsoft, and today I'm going to show you my entire Airsoft collection. So I've been playing Airsoft for about 20 years now, so I've definitely accrued quite the collection now at this point. And I've had quite a few requests for this video to come out, and here it is. As for most of my collection, a lot of it's more of the heavier Airsoft guns, hence the heavy Airsoft. But I still do have a lot of just personal favorites that are smaller arms or side arms for the most part. So yeah, check it out. Starting it out with my Classic Army UMC. This is the gun that I got when I started getting back into airsofting, and this thing was a lot of fun. I actually did a lot of upgrading on this originally when I first was getting right back into it, and put a gate tighten in it, put a new barrel in it, upgraded the internals. It shoots about 400 feet per second, and it just works out very well. But the only problem I ever had with it was the magazines and trying to find magazines for it. So that was kind of one of the issues that I had for the most part. But overall, it worked out really nice. I love the fact that it had the folding stock, and it just felt great. Overall, it just has a great feel to it. It's nice for CBQ. It's nice for doing an open field for the most part. It's just a great gun. Classic Army UMC. Next we have my KWA Mac 11, and this has been one of my favorite sidearms for the most part, getting back into airsofting, and it just works out so well. It has a great just rate of fire on it. I love the fact that you can pull this out so you can just hold it to your shoulders. For the most part, I don't really use it that way, but I use it for this sling, which made it really nice. So I loved having that, and I could just put that on my side shoulder and just hook it off of my vest. So that worked out just so well for the most part. But the one thing about this is it's very tedious to clean. That's my one issue with it. If you start having issues with this, it really starts to go downhill. Also, if you don't have it cocked back when you insert the magazine into it, it's going to break. It breaks the I believe it's the piston in it that connects when it shoots out, and so it'll just over time keep hitting that, and I kept having that issue. I bought a couple of them, replaced them a couple times, and it just turns into a costly just sidearm because it just keeps breaking. So that's one of my issues where I don't use this as much anymore. Next I have my Cybergun licensed Hershal Scar Heavy, and it's everything I love about it. It's a nice heavy gun, fat mag in it. Realistically, it's just like an M4 really, but I love the fact that I have the folding stock, and I utilize that quite a bit. And as the most part, I use this as my backup gun or if I'm going into fields where I can't fill up my tanks, and I can just have this as my go-to AEG. It only shoots at 240 about, so it's right in that happy zone for the most part. This was my most complicated AEG that I had actually worked on. I had a lot of issues with the internals as I was upgrading it by myself. This is probably one of my first overhaul guns that I did by myself, and I've taken it apart probably at least 50 times at this point. I had a lot of issues mainly putting it back together, because the worst part is trying to get the selector switch back together, because you have to place them both in perfectly in there as you put it in, and it's really difficult. I also had ripped out the back wiring out of here, and it's connected through here, and trying to remove this was just a pain in the butt. I had to pop out the pin and everything. It was difficult. This one gave me a lot of just hours putting into this, but once it was all said and done, it's one of my most favorite main guns overall. The Heavy Scar. Yeah. Heavy. Here we have my MP5K from H&K. This is one of my most favorite submachine guns by far. I actually had one when I was a kid. I had it for maybe a week, but it didn't work out for me at that time. I had an MP5 before already, so I had taken it back, and I think I had gotten an AUG at that time. But I always want to get it back, and someday I'm going to put an HPA engine in here, and that'll be a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to that. But for the most part, for it being stock, it's really nice. I've used it in a couple of videos, and it just worked as a kind of a great sidearm when I was kind of messing around with a few different things. But it really works out very well. I've had no issues with it. Battery comes right in this compartment here. So one of the small issues that I do have with it though is the hop ups inside and you have to take this off. So that really makes it tedious to mess around with. So that's kind of like the only downfall about that. So, but other than that, it works out really well. I've never had any issues. Mags are fine. Just a great overall. So this is my G&G CM16, and this is one of my favorite heavy M4s, just for the style, how it looks like it loads in the sight up there, like how it does with an M249. So I just really loved it about it. It has a great feel to it overall. It's just got a good solid feel. So actually when you buy this right out of the box, it's actually really well done. They have a 3-round burst on it. It comes with a very large box magazine and has a MOSFET in it already, so you don't have to worry about that at all. So that makes it really nice. But I took a Polar Star and I put it in here. I had to do a little bit of adjustments trying to get it in there and had to drill a couple holes here and there. But for the most part, it worked out really well. The only issue I ever had with it was with the hop up in it, and I had to mess with that coming out of the box. So, but other than that, it works fine. The box mag over time, I know I had some issues and it wouldn't load properly because there's a button switch on there where it'll automatically load as you pull the trigger, which was nice. I actually really liked that. It had a nice feature about that when it came with it. So, and then a nice little thing here is in that box mag, it takes a little battery, and there's a compartment right here where you can put these batteries in there. And as you see, I got 2 in there, and it's just a nice little hideaway spot, and I love little things like that. So, G&G CM16. Of course, we got the Classic Army Microgun. This thing is just, it puts the awe every time you go in the field. There's always just something just magical for having just a minigun overall. And so I had picked this up a couple years ago, I think 3 years ago now, and now I've got it dialed in and set up with the HPA tank. Originally you could put a canister in here, but for the most part they wouldn't fit because they took the European version canisters that you could just shove in there. So, but it ended up working out regardless anyway. I've got an issue where the pneumatic switch in the trigger here, it got pushed in, so I had to open it up and pull it out. But now, and that fixed that. It was actually a really simple deal. The only other issue I have is when it spins, it keeps spinning a little bit after you stop firing it. So that's just one little thing that I got to work on that for right now. But this thing fires hot. It shoots at 38 BBs a second without the upgraded motor. It holds 2,200 rounds, and you can just, for about 30 seconds, you're going to have so much fun. It just lays it out. Great. I love this thing. Then here we have my effing Hershal MT49 Para. Now this was the gun that I took out in my first YouTube video, and this was just an AEG at the time, and I've done a lot of modifications. I had the Polar Star in it for a while before I transferred it to my MK48. Now this goes down to the traditional just heavy weapons right here. What I love about this is the fact that it's got that foldable stock, it's got that nice hand grip on there. I have the holding handle on top, and it always just looks so clean cut, and I just love that about that. I've always had hard times putting cameras on it and trying to mess around with that. So when I had first got this in the mail, I actually had it actually came in damaged. The box mag was destroyed, and then the front tip for the sight was completely obliterated as well, and that was just through packaging. But everything else was fine. Then I had called about it and see if maybe they just sent me a new tip and box, and they said that they couldn't. They said you have to send the whole thing back, and I already started working and modifying it already, so that wasn't going to happen. So I ended up sticking around with it, and for the most part, I've been so happy with it. It's just great, especially because this is my heavy AEG that I can just take anywhere deal. So, like I said, I had the MK48 that's meant for places where I can do HPA. So, for the most part, this thing is just wonderful, beautiful, lovable. You want one. And of course, I gotta show you the MK48 after we just talked about it by effing Hershal as well, Cybergun. And this thing is actually really heavy. It's very front heavy, and I've been wanting to take it out a lot more, but it's just very heavy. For the most part, you'd have slings where you'd be able to just kind of hold it up and just hang it off your side for the most part. But when you're using something front heavy like this and you're trying to shoot for long periods of time, your arms get really tired. Honestly, more tired than when I was doing the one arm Microgun, and that was pretty heavy, and I can only do that for about one game. Same deal with this. It's just very heavy to just awkwardly take around. So that's just kind of one of the main downsides about it, especially when you have a bunch of cameras and the scope on it. But I love it. It's definitely by far one of my favorite, just best looking guns. I've done a lot with this. I put the HPA system in it, new barrel, and especially upgrading the hop-up unit. And that's one of the big issues that I've had. I had a lot of feeding issues actually with these characters and this just this style of feeding rounds into it. So, but overall, it works out really well, though. It definitely lays down a lot more heavy fire than the minigun would probably. It carries about 2,000 rounds in the magazines, and for the most part, they're not too bad to refill compared to like the Microgun, where you have to fill it through the top. This, you can just do it out the side. You can actually drill a hole if it's one of those weird ones where you have to open up the side pouch. So, and then you just put a cover over that. So there's a lot of different ways that you can utilize this really effectively, because it just lays down. Because you can get this probably up to like 55 BBs per second. So this thing can shoot hot and fast. Speeds off fast. So MK48. Now for my favorite shotgun, Tokyo Marui KSG. Fully upgraded. So with this character here, it wasn't too much upgrading really had to do, but I put the HPA hose in here that instead of having that cartridge, so I would never have to worry about air or gas. So that made that real quick. You have to actually drill your own hole through here into here, so you can have it in there. So it was a little bit of finesse trying to get that in, and then kind of protecting it here so it doesn't tear up over time. Then I put the drug magazine in there. I know you can do the M4 mag style, but this looks a little bit cleaner because you're thinking, oh, it's just shotgun shells kind of. So I just like that a little bit more. It's the string wound mag. It's hard to find the electric version of it for the most part. It's always all sold out. A lot of stuff like that is just that those specialty items are usually just hard to come by. I put a rail on here and on the side so I can have my cameras, so it made it a little bit easier that way. I have the foregrip, so it's easier to just pound out those shots. And then for kicks and giggles, I have the little rubber spikes in the front. It's not gonna hurt you. Well, it could hurt you. Don't stab someone with it, but it's just more so you kind of keep it on the ground, so it's not just right there on the barrel, so I didn't have to worry about dirt picking up for the most part, and that's why I did that. So this fires 3 to 6 rounds per shot, and it feels amazing when you cock it back and forth. Anyway, the KSG. Now here we have one of my favorite sidearms that I've used a lot that works out so well, and this is the Roni Glock. Technically, it's only a Glock 17. So what's nice about this is the fact that you can just kind of get more stability, hook it up to your shoulders. It doesn't weigh a lot. It's very well balanced overall, even when you have the big fat drum mag on it that I use. And it just has such a good feel to it. Like I said, I love those foldable stocks. It makes a big deal. That way you're running it and just do it that way. Oh yeah. One of the things that I always look out for most of any of my guns is having that rail system, being able to put accessories on there, cameras, all that good jazz. And it just works out so well overall. So as you see here, there's a button at the bottom, push that in, this comes down, pull this down, this slides out. You have your little wing here. Take that off. Now, got your Glock back. So, Roni Glock, the Glock 17. Here we have my favorite pistol, and this is the Grenade Launcher pistol. It's wonderful because it's so compact, it's easy to carry around. I have it on my chest. I can just easily detach it, and it's just ready to go. There's like there aren't any downsides, quote unquote, for this. It's very easy to load, easy to unload. The safety is actually very well done. It's a very hardy latch on there, right here. So it makes it really nice. So I had to drill a hole here so I could have my safety clip here so I can hang it off. That was the only thing I had to do to modify this, and then other than just put kind of some cool decals on there just to kind of get that theme. So grenade launch pistol. And here I've got my Elite Force 1911. And this is a pretty good sidearm overall. I've only had one issue with it where I had to adjust it, but that's after it had taken a drop, or a fall more so with it. But it just had to just move some screws around in it, and it was fine at that point. This takes the CO2 cartridges, so you do have to replace those, which kind of makes it a little annoying, but for the most part, for just a simple sidearm that's got, I think, 20 rounds in it, it's not too bad. Feels great. It's all metal. It has an under rail on the bottom of it, so it makes it nice where you can put attachments on there. It's also got the thread so you can put the silencer on it. But for the most part, it's a good hardy pistol. There's nothing wrong with it. It works out pretty well for the most part. Overall, just simple, nice 1911. So here is my AIM SVD. And for the most part, I've taken this out in one game, and I didn't care for it very much. And I don't think I will actually have this one for very much longer. The main issue is the magazines. So the main issue with these magazines, other than them being god-awful heavy, they're big, they're bulky, they're tedious, they don't hold a lot of ammo. It's hard to even fill it with ammo because of how it was designed. You don't even get the full amount of shots if you fill it all the way to the brim with the gas. This one takes green gas. There's CO2 versions of it as well. But for the most part, it just didn't make sense. They're costly. They're just tedious. And I'm just not happy with it. It looks cool. It fired great, but I just didn't care for it very much. It just felt like I was hindering myself with trying to carry this around. But it did shoot the true 500 feet per second that it did say that it does shoot, so that was good. But like I said, it's just not that great. And here we have the CYMA L96, and this was my favorite childhood sniper rifle. I've only used this in one game so far, but I had a lot of fun with it. It was just a traditional Springer rifle that hadn't been modified. It's out of box. It only shoots like 380, something like that. So it doesn't even shoot very hot. The barrel needs to be replaced by far, and there's definitely a lot I need to do with it. But it's just kind of there just to have fun with. I don't do a lot of sniping at all. It was just something to kind of dive into, just to kind of get that out of my system. For the most part, I like more of the heavy airsoft. So, but it was definitely fun to kind of try and do a little bit of sniping. I just don't like getting down and getting into that super sniper heavy. Oh, I'm gonna just sit here and just wait for someone to come by and then hopefully not get seen kind of deal. Just feels great. I love that action. Here we have the ICS 6-shot grenade launcher. And this thing is a lot of fun. It's really based upon what shells you put in it, and even then it's a lot of fun regardless anyway. There's probably 8 to 10 different types of shells you can put in this thing. There's just endless possibilities. It's simple to reload as far as just putting them in and then just turning this wheel, and that basically cocks it so you can just safety. It just switches over every time. So real simple. I had a lot of fun with this. I love taking this out just every once in a while. I'll use it as a sidearm and just hook it up to my vest, and it just makes it real nice and just able to clear rooms or be able to shoot shields. The shield breaker. Yeah, that's right. And it's just, like I said, just a lot of fun overall. Love having those rails, as I said. There isn't really a downside to this really overall. It's got the adjustable back piece. The trigger on it's really nice to just reload. You can even lock it in place. There's just endless possibilities when it comes with this. So the grenade launcher. So this is the Evike custom Tavor, the Israeli rifle, and I haven't actually been able to take this out on field yet. I haven't done any modifications, haven't done anything with it. I need to put a MOSFET in it, It comes with the old LiPo battery, which is okay. Main reason that I picked this up is I wanted a bullpup again. I love just the futuristic sci-fi kind of look to it. It looked very heavy. It takes those M4 mags, so it makes it really easy just a choice. I love the fact that it's even got, in the rail system, the sights for it in the back and the front. So that was kind of a cool little deal, how they kind of hide those in there. Getting to the hop up, so you cock this back. On the other side there, it opens the catch. The release is on the bottom. So, it's a very interesting design overall. Like I said, I love just the style, the feel. It'll be real fun to take out. So, the futuristic sci-fi gun. The Tavor. Here we have my Salient Arms custom American M4. This thing is just a gem out of box. It's already fully upgraded internally completely. It actually ran, I think, $700 or so at that time, and I think they're cheaper now, but I think a lot of them are sold out. But the main thing about this was just the clean cut design. It just looks so nice. It's just a good old American homeboy gun. Everything about it feels just wonderfully custom. I love just the sights that it comes with. I love my iron sights by far. They're the most useful to me, that I like to use more than I would use a scope at all. That's very rare that I would. Maybe only on like the L96 I would use a scope, and that's probably about it. So what's really nice about this is I love that. I love just the front of it. So it's got these little notches, and they're like door notches, so you can kind of place it right there, and you can just really hold it steady. It just really makes it nice. Just a lot of good detail. It's got a pretty good size back end for you to put a battery in there. Just good grip that it comes with. It just has a great feel. It doesn't feel cheap at all. It's metal. It was well worth every dollar that I got for it. So M4. Here we have my disappointment gun. I've talked a lot about my M60 for a good while. It was licensed by H&K. I can't remember if it was Cybergun or not. I had picked this up actually at Evike when I went down there to LA to the main hub, and I was very excited for it. And I've only been able to use it for about 5 seconds before it jammed up with BBs in the front, and it's never worked right ever since. I've taken it apart, on field, off field. I don't know exactly what's wrong with it. I think I killed the motor. I feared stripping, so I'm gonna just honestly just remove the gearbox altogether and just start from scratch again and just trying to get it working at some point here. But overall, it's M60. The hand grip doesn't actually feel that great though, kind of carrying it around. It's very lunky. It's kind of hard when I was holding it for a good while. For when I was trying to use it, it doesn't hold well with like the box. It just kind of velcros around it. It's not an ideal heavy weapon, I would say. The M249s are a lot more easy, more compact, more reliable, I would say. Definitely reliable. Like I said, I just had a lot of bad luck with this. It might not be true for a lot of other M60 users, so it's just kind of one of those things where you just got the bad run of the bunch, so that's okay. It does have a nice little hand holder here. It's a little bit wonky, so it moves back and forth. It's not as big deal, I'd say. I had a lot of issues trying to get the outer barrel out of it. There's supposed to be a notch here, and I'm just trying to play with it all the time. It's honestly kind of a mess, though. It does have a cool feature where the front of it will adjust the rate of fire. So it's kind of a specialty thing on top of it, as well as has, what is it, this wire here that goes to the box mag, and when you fire it, it'll feed itself. So it's not just, it's just hold a button somewhere or have it set to sound to fire or to feed. So it makes it nice. It has a lot of good things that can come with it. It's just, right now it doesn't work right. So one day I will get it running. I will get a video out about it, and you'll see me leap with joy. So, the M60. This is the SnowWolf Barrett. So this, by far, is one of my coolest, heaviest weapons that I have, and that's a Barrett. Just having it, looking at it looks amazing. Especially with the cool decals. So I had picked this up, I think, for $100 on a sale, actually. And it was a great deal, and I dove into it. I had put, actually, so when I had first bought this, and if I was to actually use it, it had a lot of issues. First off, I was going to have to put a MOSFET in it. Secondly, I had to replace the barrel for it because the barrel was too long. If you have too long a barrel, it'll create a suck back effect, and it's going to throw your BBs left and right. So, and this is supposed to be a precision sniper rifle, right? So when I bought a barrel for it, I bought a gas blowback barrel. I got the wrong barrel. And then after that, I was trying to do other things, so it didn't work out. Because I tried to put a Polar Star in it, I was going to have it all ready to go. I was like, oh, frick yeah. Nope. And I ended up just kind of turning it into my stand that I have when I bring to Airsoft games for people to check out, because it's a Barrett. Who doesn't want to see a Barrett? So, but one day I'm going to actually get this running. I'm going to get the Polar Star back in it. I'm going to get the right barrel. I'm going to get it fixed up right, and it'll be wonderful and heavy, because this is a very heavy, long, and awkward gun. So it's not practical. There's way more practical sniper rifles. Even my L96 is technically impractical because it still weighs quite a bit. It's a little bit, not front heavy, but it's just long. I know there's other guns out there like the Norwich rifle, which is like top of the market now, and that makes way more sense to do something like that. So, but for right now, this will be my biggest novelty gun for the most part, and like I said, it's just for show for now. So, but now I have my meme gun. It's a box meme gun. It's kind of a meme gun, I guess. Well, it's in a pouch, and it shoots. It only has one shot in it. It shoots 6 BBs though. It's technically a shotgun? Shotgun box? What do you say? Well, I suppose I should open it. Okay. So I had bought this a while back, and it's just kind of a cool little novelty thing for the most part. You want to just, you have that one, you have no more ammo, and you have one shot left, and there's that player right there, or you just want to just troll this guy. This doesn't work very well. So the company is SG that makes it. It's basically kind of a 3D printed kind of deal. It's pretty hardy for being plastic. So takes the little shotgun shells that you fill up with green gas on the side here, and just, it's a shotgun. It's just like the grenade launcher shells. Put it in there, clamp it. The safety is in part of the box, actually, or the safety is part. The safety is in. The safety is actually this little pin that goes in the side here. So once you pull it out, then it's ready to go, and you just pull on it, and that's it. It's my meme gun. It's a box. Of course, best for last. Oh, the full-size Classic Army Minigun. This is the jewel of my Airsoft collection. This is the jewel of probably almost anyone's collection. And that's just having the full-size minigun. I love this thing. I had issues with this thing. I have great memories of this thing. So after like getting this right out of the box, it had issues. I took it to one game. The motor wasn't spinning the barrel at all. I had to make adjustments to it. And above all else, the worst thing was I can only take this out for one 15-minute game because I would run out of air so quickly in a large 4,500 cubic square inch tank. Which means I had to buy 2 of them. or I have 2 of them, I guess, so I can use this for 2 full games when we would go out and do our matches. But overall, it's very heavy. It's 40 pounds. You have to have 2 slings for this thing, and I have to tuck to my chest, and I'm leaning back holding this thing. But you know what? It's all worth it. It just sounds terrifying when you're shooting it. Everyone's like, oh snap, here he comes. And I mean, I can't crouch or nothing down like that. I can't run with this thing, but I can just shoot you from afar, because this thing can go up to 550 feet per second. Shoots 55 BBs a second. This thing is as good as it gets. Oof. It's a terrifying thing. But overall, just because of its weight, it's also kind of a mean gun too, I suppose, really. But this is my baby. I love her. And we're gonna have so much more fun together. If you stuck around watching the entire video, I know this is a long video. I really appreciate you guys watching it all the way through and checking out my collection and hearing me ramble on about it. So there's definitely a lot more guns that I'll probably get in the future. I know that I got one unboxing to do at some point, so thanks for checking out the heavy Dreadonyx collection, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, heavy airsofters.